Hello and good afternoon, Xbox Nation. Welcome to today's new episode of the Xbox Factor podcast. I am one of your hosts, Mr. Boomstick XL, and my God, do we have one heck of a show for you. If you're having lunch, if you're just waking up, or of course you're just about to go to sleep, no matter where you are, you're going to have 1 hour, well, I'll say 90 minutes, maybe a little bit more, of the best Xbox news you can get on Tuesday afternoon. Now, I have to be very specific because I can't say at night because obviously that crown goes to Dealer Gaming and that crew over at, of course, RDX. And you know what I want to do is before we get into some personal news I want to share with the community, I want to do a shout out. Now, I don't think he's listening to the show, and sometimes he does. I got to congratulate Colt Eastwood. He launched his show yesterday. Obviously, it went up against Primetime Gaming, and he won magnificently. But, you know, Colt is such a great member of this community. I could not be more proud to see him doing his own channel. Last night, he had, two major guests on there. Obviously, he had Jeffrey Grub. Obviously, we had Jeff a couple of weeks ago on Primetime Gaming. But he had Rich from Review Tech USA. And I'm a fan of Rich. Now, granted, we don't always get along. Rich has, kind of made me hot under the collar a few times. But I still subscribe to his channel. And I still watch his stuff on a weekly basis. So he had those two powerhouses on, and obviously want to say a big congratulations to Colt Eastwood because that, I always thought he should have his own channel, to be honest with you. I think he's a powerhouse in the community, and I love the work that he does. So I just want to say congratulations. One other quick thing, and this is a small thing, you're going to notice that super chats have been disabled. So if you're wondering why that is, it's for personal reasons. I'm just evaluating some different things. YouTube has become more of a business than something I like to do for a hobby. And right now we're going to keep, and I say we because my wife is involved with the channel as well. For right now, we have disabled memberships as well as super chats. We are reevaluating some things, and once we get all our ducks in a row, we will make an announcement of when and if we decide to start taking super chats. What we want you to do, honestly, is just come to the channel and enjoy the show. Simply enjoy being a part of the community. It's something I strive to do. It's why I created this channel. It was not for money. It was for how so much I adore this community, and I want it to remain that way. So again, folks, if you don't see the super chat, do not be surprised. It has in fact been disabled. I don't know or have an ETA of when we're going to re-enable it. We are again reevaluating some personal things going on with us, and obviously we want you to still come to the show. But we don't want you to have to ever worry about, I feel like I owe Boomstick. No one owes me anything, not even a penny. I just want you to come to the show, and I want to continue to create the content and do it for why I originally created this channel, and that was for this community, for the fun of being a part of it and being a part of gaming. So just want to give people to give you the heads up so there's no surprises. And let's get into the introductions and get into this amazing show. We're going to start with the bravest man who has beaten Resident Evil Village 17 times since it launched last Friday. Zemi Games, welcome to the program, my brother.
Boom, I'm going to have to correct you. I haven't beaten it 17 times. I've beaten it 23 times. Now,
my apologies, sir.
Don't quiz me on the game. I wasn't paying too much attention to it, but yeah, 23 times, world record. Really excited about it. But no, I'm really excited about being on the show today. Man, these topics that you set up today are absolute fire. I cannot wait to jump in. I say this almost every show. I mean, this is one of the highlights of my week, jumping on the Xbox Factor podcast and talking to you fine gentlemen. I can't wait for another great show. Let's do it.
Well, thanks so much for being here, brother. And obviously, the show would not be the show without you. You obviously jumped on I want to say over a year ago, might be even closer to 2 years now.
Yeah.
And having you a part of the show when we had you with the Breakfast at Boom was great, but to have you a part of the Xbox Factor podcast is an absolute honor and a privilege. And speaking of privilege and honor, I have to welcome in one of the newest members to this show. I think that he has really torn up the tracks, if you will, with making his presence known in this community in the best way possible. He's a gentleman, he's a scholar, and he's also someone I consider to be even more so than just a friend. I would even say that I extend to him being a brother of mine. Please welcome Pong Soul. What's up, brother? How the heck are you?
Wow, boom. What an intro. Thank you, sir. I am honored, and the obviously the feeling is mutual, sir. I appreciate all of that. Zemi, it's great to be here with you again as well, sir. Look, first of all, shout out to you, Boom, for nothing but class as always. Congratulations,
thank you, bro.
Colt
Thank
last
you.
night. Again, we both love the guy, and he did a great job. But for you to come out and give him props.
Oh, no, listen. Here's the thing. YouTube is a big place. YouTube
Right.
is surrounded and packed with incredible content creators. And listen, that's just the nature of the beast. And like I said, I got a chance to meet Colt and his wife in real life during E3 2019. He's an amazing person, and I can only wish the best luck for him. I mean, I think that is the proper thing to do. And honestly, from my heart of hearts, I mean it.
But not everybody's like that. So
No,
again,
I
props
get
to
it.
you.
I
Boom.
get it.
Props to you, sir. But no, hey, look, chat. Listen, guys, we are taking a trip to Speculation Town today. As mayor of Speculation Town, I welcome you all. As you can see by the topic list, we have some great sights to see. So I am excited to dig in. It has been another week, and I've been busy as all heck. So I am ready to talk some video games. So let's do this, Boom.
Yes. Well, let's get into topic number one. And obviously, I it's funny because every one of these topics, when I was writing them, I was like, check for Zemi, check for Zemi, check for Zemi. I think all topics he's going to have a lot to say because he really enjoys this stuff. So topic number one, what I want to get into is Bethesda, the rumor of what they're working on next. Now, as we currently know, Bethesda is hard at work at Starfield. Right now, we have some stuff we're going to be talking about. I'm trying to get the source confirmed. That's why it's not a topic today. That's why I withheld the Starfield topic for Thursday, because I'm trying to get some behind the scenes clarifications. There is a rumor that Microsoft has purchased some airtime from AdSense or ad time, if you will, for this year, which basically says that yes, the Starfield will be coming out. But I want to get some more clarification before I run with the story, because I don't like doing just the one, source of information. I like trying to at least get two, and I love getting three, because then obviously, where there's smoke, there's fire. But we know that they have Starfield in active development, potentially, folks, releasing in 2021. Elder Scrolls 6 is supposedly going to follow that, maybe even the following year, maybe following 2 years. We don't know how far into development they are for that title. They also will continue with updated content for Fallout 76. And obviously, from where it launched to where it is now, it is totally a much, much better game, and people are quite enjoying it. Of course, the question is, what exactly are they working on past these three AAA behemoths? Well, Industry Insider Clobriel has posted some new information onto what Bethesda Game Studios may, quote unquote, have in active development. And here is what he had to say. He says this: Bethesda Game Studios could have another game in development next to Starfield, Elder Scrolls, and Fallout 76. Many in the community are asking when the new project will actually would actually be. And this is what, again, let me just stop there. I say, he didn't say this. Now, many are asking in the community what the new project could actually be. Is it going to be a proper Fallout 5? Now, he quoted this, according to the job posting. BGS, which of course is Bethesda Game Studios, is seeking a server engineer to help create and improve systems for an unannounced title. And obviously it continues with, the legacy of Bethesda. We've done all these games, blah, blah, blah. Well, the unannounced title is where the wording gets me excited, because is it Fallout 5? Or is it a new project? Now, we're not going to know. I would bank on Fallout 5 personally, because obviously Fallout 76 is not the proper Fallout that everyone really wants to play. I certainly want the single player selfish experience in a new Fallout, because I'm an old school cat. So, Zemi, I want to go to you first on this. Again, there's not a lot of information to go on. It was the one post from Clovereel. Do you believe that it's Fallout 5 that they're working on, or is there something else?
I mean, I think that they most definitely are probably working in some capacity for Fallout 5, right? Like, like Bethesda, like they typically, kind of get ideas. Most developers get ideas for, like their sequel games. They're working on other projects and stuff. So in some capacity, I'm sure that they are working on Fallout 5. Like, I'm sure it's still also in the planning stage. But for this job posting, it's a job posting for a server engineer, and like reading through the job listing, it kind of sounds like this is, a person who's going to be supporting and building up like, the online functionality of a video game. Right. I don't think that Fallout 5 is going to have online functionality. I think that, that was kind of going to be a Fallout 76 thing. I don't know. Like it always kind of felt like to me that Fallout 76 was just their try at it. Their poke in the dark, and that just really did not work out very well for them. So I truly don't think that we're going to see Fallout 5 have like any multiplayer in it. So I don't think that this unannounced title is Fallout 5. What I think that it very well might be is potentially maybe a large expansion for Fallout 76, because that game does have online functionality. But additionally, I think it could also be a smaller title, like on like the same kind of level as what we've seen them do with Elder Scrolls Blades, Fallout Shelter, and then Elder Scrolls Legends. Elder Scrolls Legends was actually made by a different studio, but I wouldn't be shocked if they weren't making a smaller title like that with maybe online functionality to go along with Starfield, like a mobile game. I wouldn't be shocked if that might be what this position was for. I mean, ultimately, it's speculation, right? There's really no.
Did you say Speculation Town?
Speculation Town. Yeah, no, we're welcome. We're here. But no, I just kind of have like, it just doesn't feel right,
Could it be a smaller
and usually my
game?
gut's wrong, right? But it just, for me, it just doesn't feel like they would be adding multiplayer to Fallout 5. I don't know.
I agree.
It
I don't
work
want
out the
that.
last time.
Yes.
And also there's some level of me being a little biased here. I will agree. I don't want there to be multiplayer in Fallout 5.
100%.
So maybe this is also me, kind of hoping that, this isn't the case. But no, I think it makes a lot more sense for this to possibly be like just a smaller title, kind of like what, Fallout Shelter was to Fallout 4. Maybe they're making another mobile title, like a small thing to kind of go along with Starfield or go along with the next Elder Scrolls game. And it's going to have online functionality.
That's a very interesting aspect. Yeah.
Yeah. That's just my poke in the dark of what I think that most likely it's probably going to be. But I'm typically wrong, and I'm quite possibly wrong here too.
Well, I mean, listen, again, it's we don't have a lot to go on, so I don't the wrong. Yeah, I mean, listen, I've been wrong. My God, so many times I've lost count. There's no doubt about that. But you know what? It's certainly you bring up a tremendous amount of really good points, and you know what? I'm with you. Listen, folks, here's the thing. I love online. I do. I don't get a chance to play online with the community because, dude, there's only so much time in a day. You know what I'm saying? So I like to gravitate towards the single player experience, because when you produce 4 shows, you have real life to get to, and obviously I gotta be there for Mrs. Boom. She's obviously my first thing and last thing I see before when I go to sleep, and the most important thing to me. I so selfishly, I don't really care about online, though I understand how important it is for the community as a whole. For me, I'm right there with you. If Fallout 5 needs to be about that single player narrative, so we can get invested in the character that we create. We can care about the NPC characters that are potentially going to be a part of the story that they're trying to tell. And that's why I just hope they continue with Fallout 76. So if people want to continue to play in that world through multiplayer, there is an avenue for them. So I'm almost in agreement with you that this could potentially be something as an add-on to one of the new franchises.
Yeah.
Again, maybe it is the Fallout game that released on iOS and Android a couple of years ago, where you had to go online and build up this online community. Who knows?
Or something of that nature for Starfield. But one thing is known for a fact: we need to pray to Todd Howard. We need to pray to that man,
according to you,
to make sure
Todd Howard,
our savior, to make sure that Fallout 5
Amen.
is fully single player. We need to pray to him.
Okay. Yeah. Well, listen, you know what? I'll reach out to Todd. I'm waiting for him to send his autographed socks, one for each of you, so you guys could, pray to the altar with the sock.
That'd be wonderful.
So, Pong Soul, let's get your opinion on this. Again, usually Clobriel elaborates when he gets this kind of information. And I went back into his Twitter history, and it was the one post, which means there really isn't a lot to go on. And because it's from Clobriel, I trust it indubitably. I think that he has gotten it right more times than he's gotten it wrong. And even though he said it publicly, he doesn't consider himself to be an insider, quote unquote, though I do. I think he has a tremendous amount of ties. He's being very modest, and that's fine. I love modesty. There's no doubt about that. It shows the humbleness in people when they are looking not to take credit. Now, I fall right into that camp. I just enjoy what I do. What are your thoughts on the new unannounced title that he mentions? You think it's something that something to the effect of what Zemi is saying, or could it be something more?
Yeah, I think it definitely could be something actually more, Boom, because of the simple fact that the thing that got me excited, besides the obvious things when the acquisition went through with ZeniMax, is that you have one of the largest collections of talent ever acquired by Microsoft and by Xbox, right? So you've got all these people that are working diligently on all the mainstay franchises that we already know about. But when you have that collective of talent and creative minds, can you imagine the projects that have been sitting on the table for a very long time because ZeniMax did not want to take chances?
Yeah, dude, that's a great point.
When Xbox purchased Obsidian, all of a sudden we got grounded, right? Which has turned into something special and has potential. But why did we get grounded? That would never have happened under just Obsidian by themselves, because they could not take the risks. Now, like we've heard so many devs already speak about this, is that being underneath the umbrella of Xbox and Microsoft specifically, it allows them the freedom to go try things, right? We've seen it time and time again already. So what got me excited when this acquisition happened was all these projects that have all these ideas that have been tossed and, fleshed out, but then kind of just pushed to the side because, hey, we can't do this right now. We got to focus on the Fallouts. We got to focus on the Elder Scrolls. We got to focus on our mainstays because, again, we got to keep ZeniMax. We got to keep the investors happy.
Yes.
No longer is that necessary. And again, through other examples that we have already seen, Bleeding Edge, Grounded, the pet projects that are sitting out there are allowed to grow and given a chance now that you have the backing of Microsoft and Xbox. So I'm thinking bigger. I'm thinking a brand new IP, right? Something, maybe it's not a huge game, right? Maybe it's not an Elder Scrolls or a Fallout size game or a Starfield size game, right? I'm not necessarily saying that, but I'm just thinking, maybe this is a new IP that was sitting there, and they got underneath Xbox, Microsoft, and you know what? Phil and his teams just greenlit it. Go right ahead. Go right ahead. Go have fun. Go do this. We've already seen them expanding some of the studios. We saw, I believe it was ZeniMax just opened a new studio in Wisconsin. We know that these teams are still growing.
Yep.
So even though they're huge, they're still growing. So I think that's probably why, to me at least, Clobriel didn't have a whole lot of information and just posted it, because I think there's going to be some smaller projects, brand new IPs that are coming out of these established studios that we only currently associate with the bigger stuff, right? I think we're going to see some of that, exploration, if you want to call it, just testing the waters with smaller projects and see if something hits. So that's where I like to go with this. I think it might be just a fresh, brand new IP that they had sitting there that they never really got to develop, and now they've been greenlit. Go right ahead, go try it. Let's see what comes of it.
I mean, that's a great point. Listen, guys, let me ask you this. What more do you want out of this particular topic? Do you want a proper Fallout 5, or do you want something new? Zemi, I'll go to you first. What do you want this to actually be?
I want Todd Howard to be happy, I mean, first and foremost, like that is really the most important thing to me as a human being on this planet that we call Earth, is that Todd Howard, our savior, is happy. And if he's happy, guess who else is happy?
Yeah, Zemi's happy. Yeah,
I'm happy, right? Yes. And I think that he would be the most happiest by making Starfield, and then making Elder Scrolls, and then making a Fallout 5. What
you're talking about is something that everybody is would welcome in for sure.
Yeah.
There's no doubt about that.
Honestly, for me, like I don't have like any need or want, or for Bethesda to really make a brand new IP other than Starfield. I think Starfield seems really, really awesome. But with that being said, if they did make something brand new, I wouldn't be totally against it or anything. I would look at it. If it looked cool, I would buy it, I would play it, and hopefully I would enjoy it. Right. But for me personally, what I really want from that studio right now is Starfield, then Elder Scrolls, then, Fallout. Right. And that's like really the main thing that I want. Anything else that they would make would just be complete, just right, like in the side of my mind. Right. Not to say I wouldn't play it. I very much would probably play it. But for me, what I really want, after, these two games that we know are going to happen, I really want a Fallout 5.
Yeah. I mean, listen, I enjoyed Fallout 4. I didn't love Fallout 4. I absolutely loathed Fallout 76, and I knew what I was getting myself into. I bought it for the helmet, which is still sitting above my head. I love these collector's editions. I knew what I was getting. I tried Fallout 76. It was awful. I knew I wasn't going to dig it, but I really wanted the helmet, so that's why I bought the game. I loved Fallout 3 to the point where I think, if I'm not mistaken, and the last time I checked, and it's been a while, I think I put like 380 plus hours into that game, which sounds like madness, but I really, really enjoyed that game.
Which one was better, New Vegas or 3?
I have to go with New Vegas, dude. Like,
really, I would say 3. I would say 3.
You know what? Listen, if there was the gun to the head, and it was like, listen, you got to pick one or the other, or boom, you finished. Then I take the coward's way out and I say, okay, I'm going to go with New Vegas because I really enjoyed it. But if I had to sit on it, it would be a tough, because I really enjoyed both of them. I mean, those were two games where Fallout as a brand was at its absolute peak. When you talk about single player experiences, and just the amount of narrative that went into these games was just incredible. Pong, let's get your opinion on this, brother. What more do you want out of this particular, oh man, I just got blown up right there. Look at it. Look, terrible.
Well, that
terrible
guy helped you. He put you back on
he
track.
He definitely put me back on track. I think I still win the race too, which is, oh no,
boy.
that's awful.
Nobody's helping you there.
I went.
Must have been wearing your helmet. Oh no, that's right. You don't have it yet.
Yeah, it's first the worst, bro. Pong, what do you want to see this turn out to be? A new IP or potentially a Fallout 5?
Well, I mean, again, I want it all, Boom. So, like I was just saying, I want to see new IPs as well. I think it's exciting when somebody comes up with a new idea. So, I'd love for this just to be a brand new idea, whether it's from the mind of the almighty God Howard, or if it's just a smaller section of the teams that had an idea and are putting it together. I really don't care, but of course I want a new Fallout as well. I'd love to see a team up between Obsidian and Bethesda and making a new Fallout Vegas, a new Vegas 2, or pick another location. But I'd love to see a team up between those two studios. At the same time, again, going back to my original statements, when you have this many creative people underneath one umbrella, I want to see what these minds are thinking, because I know, we see it all the time. Like, we get a little glimpse when we look at the art, when some of the artists put out some of their, experimental stuff that they're doing, or just some ideas that they have. We see all these incredible looking worlds that never get realized. I want as many of those worlds as possible, because I'm somebody who likes to, dabble in as many games as possible. So for me, I'd love to see a new IP, but of course I want to see a new Fallout. If it's Fallout 5, fantastic. Like you, Boom, Fallout 3 for me was one of the great games to come out. Again, just like you, Boom, if I had to choose, I would choose, Vegas, obviously, just from the standpoint of the storytelling and the characters in Vegas. I liked it a little bit better than Fallout 3, but Fallout 3 was just an amazing game. So, and 4 kind of went away from that formula a little bit.
Yeah, it did. It was a bit of like I said, I liked it. I didn't love it.
Correct. So if we get back to a classic style Fallout, give me those old feels again, I'm all about it. So, but again, one of my favorite studios of all time, if not my favorite studio of all time, is Bethesda. So whatever they put out, I am going to be looking forward to. I'm going to be hyped about, and all this news coming out. And now that they have, pretty much unlimited resources at this point, I can't wait to see what we get out of this.
Yeah, it's very exciting to know that, and again, that the point of the resources is an incredibly important part of the conversation. Correct. Because a lot of the work that they were doing, they were basically, a lot of people don't know this, they were basically robbing Peter to pay Paul. Right. People don't understand that, and how important the sales of said game was going to be for their teams to make sure that they could pay the rent. You know what I'm saying? They could pay the insurance, they could pay people to pay their mortgages and stuff. It was ultra important. And now that they're working with Microsoft, obviously the books things is still important, but they don't have to worry about it, because, and I think that's one of the biggest things that a lot of people don't take into account, what this deal meant. The Bethesda deal meant so much more than just, they have all these new studios. What it did, the winner is both people, but both Bethesda and Microsoft, because what it does for Xbox is it allows them time, something that they didn't have before getting all these studios. Right? Now they're not rushing to get games out because they don't have first party prowess. They can now take their time and put it out when it's right and ready, because they have 35 plus teams. And I think that that's actually good, because you don't want these games overlapping one another. And we actually might see that happen at some point, because all of these games that they have in development, they may have to kind of hold back the releases, because you don't want to, choke out yourself. So
correct, absolutely, yeah, it's huge.
So we'll see. But folks, this is what a great opening salvo, if you will. So one of the best 30 minutes I think I've spent this week so far talking about Bethesda. But I want to get on to topic number 2, and in a story that I pulled from one of my favorite sites, WCCF Tech. They got a chance to sit down with Neon Giants co-founders Arcade Berg, which that is a dope name. Arcade. Your first name is Arcade. That is freaking awesome. He's the game director, and Tor Frick, who is the art director, to offer some exclusive information on one of the most and biggest anticipated indie titles that are currently in development releasing in 2021. Now, the Ascent impressed, at least me for sure, and I say many in my show notes, almost immediately with his blend of AAA graphics, production values, and high-octane top-down shooting, a mix that we don't really see every day. And as expected, the Ascent promises much, much more than that, including classic role-playing elements like character progression and loot, 4-player co-op support, and the ability to freely roam vertically as much as horizontally through a cyberpunk world called Vels, where the dominant microcorporate or the mega corporation has just collapsed, leaving a vacuum of power. Now, I've been talking about the Ascent for what seems like almost a year come May, since we saw it during the May 2020 Xbox event. And honestly, and I said this publicly and I said it privately, it's one of my most anticipated titles of 2021. But here during this interview are some of the things that came out that are super important. I have a bunch of bullet points here. I'm going to read what to expect from the Ascent, and then we're going to break it down onto what the panel thinks. The Ascent, if you didn't know, has been in active development for over 3 years. The current team is 14 people. 14 people are making this game, as the last time I checked. Another point, it's a blend of action shooter mixed with RPG, narrative-driven campaigns with cutscenes and exploration, and a very satisfying combat that offers cover, as well as many things to explode that go boom. Of course, I like that part of it. The Ascent will offer multiple playthroughs with procedurally generated elements to keep things fresh. All guns are ranged, at least to some extent, although some of them according to the notes, although one of them could argue that the 5-barreled shotgun works best when you're within arm reach of a bad guy. For in-your-face players, the Ascent also offers several abilities and modules that are good for close range combat, like the hydraulic powered punch as the most direct example. The main mission, the main missions, I should say, will land you somewhere around 15 to 20 hours in the campaign. Though, this is where it gets good, folks. On top of that, now this is in addition to the single-player campaign, 20 hours, there are many more side missions, treasures, and a myriad of codex entries to unlock and read about the world. And obviously, they did not specify how many side missions, but they say it's plentiful. The main campaign, they say here, will have some mini bosses guarding special loot, but they also have a bunch of other bosses that will be in the game that they have not shown that will be a part of the side mission content that will offer bigger loot, because obviously this is a loot grind kind of a game. Let's see what else they say here. There will be crossplay between Xbox and Microsoft Store PC, because obviously they intended to be an Xbox Play Anywhere game. And also, last but not least, it has been confirmed for both Xbox and PC on Xbox Game Pass day and date. Pong, I'm going to go to you first on this, brother, because I know that Zemi is a Cyberpunk fan, and he's going to have a lot to say. But I want to hear you first on this. How excited are you to actually play Neon Giants: The Ascent? And more importantly, and I think this is really where I want you to dig deep into, how big of a deal do you think this is as an Xbox exclusive launching in 2021?
Well, it's been one of my most anticipated games since it was announced and shown off, right? So this is something that I've been looking forward to for a very long time, and there is a very big group of people in this community that feel the same way. This has been something that's been on people's radar for an extremely long time. Obviously, it had planned initially to launch last year around the holiday after the launch of the series consoles. But that didn't happen. So to know that they've taken the time necessary to make sure things are right with this game, give me even more confidence in what we are looking forward to when we look at the Ascent. All you have to do is take a look at the videos, the clips that they've put out, and you can see the attention to detail that this incredible team of 14 people are putting in to what is obviously a project of love that they obviously have wanted to do for a long time. And I think that quality is going to shine through, especially with the delay. Again, making sure that things are right. I'm still, I can't believe we have not gotten a release date yet. I'm hoping for maybe a shadow drop at E3. But whatever the case may be, I have the utmost confidence at this point that this team is going to deliver an experience that I think could capture the minds and hearts of many within the Xbox community, because it already has. I mean, I've already had some great back and forth with their social media over at the Ascent. They've got, we were talking about the social media aspect behind the scenes in the green room of certain channels, certain teams, and the Ascent has got a great, whoever runs their social media site over there is fantastic. So, I think with it being in Game Pass, I know, let's put it this way. First of all, Cyberpunk is a huge genre, right? I think we saw the hype surrounding Cyberpunk 2077. Anytime a Cyberpunk-esque type game is announced, people are excited for it. So I think right there off the top, they already have a win. And then you look at the aesthetics that they've put into this game. It is absolutely incredible. Of course, none of us have hands-on with it yet, but just the atmosphere looks like they have completely 100% captured that cyberpunk feel. And then you look at, again, the clips that they've been putting out. You look at the effects that they have. It just looks like a complete experience when it comes to jumping in. Yeah,
14 people made this game, dude.
I know, they're incredible. It's incredible.
It looks. Listen, I got news for you. Like, if you look, here's the thing. I understand that people love the AAA experience, right? And I think if my deduction comes to fruition, we're going to get back to back games in Forza Horizon 5. Starfield and Halo Infinite, right?
Yep.
Now, I'm still calling this September, October, November triple play. That's what I'm saying. But what people, and I'm not saying this in a bad way. I don't want to throw anyone under an umbrella. What I think gamers are forgetting is, as great as those titles are going to be, and I think every one of them are going to be a masterpiece. I honestly do. We have to look towards these smaller AA and single A and even this indie studio games that are coming in 2021 as exclusives. Ascent is one of them. 12 Minutes is another. Tunic is one. You have the one that you talked about last week that's in that has what the hell's the name of that game? It's a first person in Russia.
You're talking about Stalker 2.
Stalker 2. You have so many of these double and single A experiences that are going to blow us out of the water. And what's crazy is that we only have, we're in May, folks. There's only 7 months left of the freaking year. Could you imagine how many games are going to be out and how big your backlog is going to be? This is one of those games that I think once you pick up, Pong, it's going to be a hard time. You're going to have a hard time putting it down.
Yeah, especially like I said, with Game Pass, again, the top-down view is not for everybody, and I've seen some people say, well, I don't like that style of game, but at the same time, being in Game Pass, this is another one of those things when your buddies are playing it, when all your friends are on it, and they say, hey, just hop in, try it out with me. It's as quick as a download to get involved. You don't have to invest the money up front. You don't have to weigh those, the risk versus reward kind of deal. You just jump in, and all of a sudden, it becomes a big deal. We saw this with Outriders. Not everybody was on the Outriders train. And again, I know all the problems, people have jumped off, and I get it. Don't get me wrong. But I'm saying in the beginning, beginning, not everybody was on board. Everybody jumped in and really started loving it because it was as simple as a download, and that's what you get with Game Pass. And so even the people that are on the offense, maybe with the style or whatever the case may be, are going to be able to just download this and try it. And if this team pulls through like I think they're going to, then yeah, you're absolutely correct, Boom. You've got one of those games, especially with the looter aspect. And again, we don't know how they're going to pull it off. We don't know how in depth it's going to be. We don't know any of the real stuff, the real meat and potatoes when it comes to what the game is going to entail once you start playing it. But if they pull off a Diablo-esque style cyberpunk world with loot that becomes addicting, like we know looters can be, then all of a sudden you have one of those games in Game Pass where all of a sudden you pull up your friends list and you see that, 50% of the people are playing the Ascent right now, even despite the fact that we're going to have all these games that you just listed off, Boom, and who knows how many more. Just think about this, Boom. Just think about this. Let's say we already know that there's 22 indie titles or 21 indie titles, somewhere in that neighborhood, confirmed, and we haven't even heard about the AAA bank. Let's just say 25 come out between now and then. That's over 3 a month new games between now and the end of the year that we're going to be having drop in. That's an insane amount of games, but the Ascent can stand out from the simple fact that it is going to be a highly polished game that gives you a cyberpunk world, which people love, that you can't experience just everywhere, right? And so I think if they pull this off, you're absolutely correct, Boom. It's going to be one of those games where, again, you've got a lot of people, eyes on it, 25 million plus Game Pass. Yeah. Probably approaching 30 maybe by the time this thing comes out.
Well, I'll put it to this way. If they keep up with the 1 million per month, dude, 30 million by the end of 2021 campaign.
30 plus, yeah. We don't know when this game's going to come out. If it drops out at E3, great. If it drops out at E3, I can't wait.
I hope it does. I think
it's a summer release.
Now.
It feels like a summer release. Yeah, I know. I wanted it a long time ago. But yeah, I think it could slot in nicely to the summer between the big boys towards the holiday season. It could slot in real nice in there and just become one of those games that kind of takes over your friends list and everybody's playing it. And, with a 20-hour campaign plus side missions, plus the loot effect going back, I think this could be one of those games that becomes a time sink for a lot of people. And I just can't wait, Boom. I'm so pumped.
Yeah, me too. You know what? I have to apologize. I was disrespectful just now by not mentioning Joe's Song of Iron in that list. How freaking dare I, Joe?
There's so many.
Joe, I know you're listening, brother. Game of the year. Listen, I said this to him. He blushed. I compared his storytelling, because if you didn't know, and you didn't watch last night's show and you didn't watch the interview, his Song of Iron comes from him playing D&D, folks. That was a campaign he played with his friends that he converted into a game. I mean, how freaking cool is that? That's awesome. Because I played D&D as a kid. I'm a big old nerd like that. And I told him last night, and he blushed a little bit. I think that his game, once it's released, and they're doing the beta testing right now on it, it's going to be in people's top 10s. I don't want to make any false accusations about maybe it's the game of the year in some places, but we did see that happen with what was the indie game that won it last year? Hades, yes. Yeah. And I think that Joe has something special there. So, yeah, of course, I have to throw into that list Song of Iron. Again, one of my most anticipated games because of the way the story behind it, and more importantly, what's in front of me. I'm super stoked for that game. Zemi Games, you are a huge Cyberpunk fan. I don't think anyone knew that. Surprise, he loves Cyberpunk. What are your thoughts on Neon Giant's confirmation on the 20-hour campaign, the side missions, the fact that it's been in development for 3 years, only 14 people worked on this game, which is, if you look at it, you're like, that's got to be a 100-man team. That has to be 100 people making this game. No, it's 14. How excited are you for this to release on Xbox potentially in the summer?
Well, first off, I think a summer release would kind of make the most sense, especially considering, Halo Infinite coming out and potentially Starfield, potentially a Forza game. I think having the Ascent go up against those games would be a bad decision. So I think a summer release would make the most sense as well. And I've been really, really hot and cold on this game. I really have. I love Cyberpunk, right? I absolutely love it. I'm blown away by, the fact that 14 people made this game and that it looks as good as what it does. I mean, it does truly look like a AAA kind of, experience. I think that the narrative looks really, really awesome. The cutscenes look incredible. The one and pretty much only thing that has me like shaking my head, like, why did they do this? Is the isometric perspective. Like, I've just never been a fan of that, and it's a personal thing, right?
Yeah, that's okay. I mean, listen, not every game is for every gamer, brother. We get
absolutely. I mean, there's nothing wrong with gamers that love that isometric point of view. It's just never really been my thing. And, so after, listening reading this interview, I actually got more turned on to this game than I was previously, right? Like, it kind of reinvigorated me to like, oh yeah, okay, well, I'm still unsure about the isometric thing, but I'm definitely, gonna jump in day one and try it out, right? So, for sure, after reading this interview, they made me more excited and wanting to actually jump into the game more. I really don't know if it's going to be for me, but fortunately with Game Pass, and I think Game Pass, this is a great example of how just amazing this service is, right? That there's going to be a lot of people like me that don't like isometric games, or maybe have never played them before, or whatever it may be. That are going to jump into this game because of Game Pass, right? And because it's co-op, and their friends are going to say, hey, have you played the Ascent yet? And they're going to say no. And then they're going to say, hey, it's co-op and it's on Game Pass. Go download it, right? I think Game Pass is one of the bigger reasons why this game is going to be as successful as I think it's going to be, right? I mean, not to say that it wouldn't have sold very, very well, outside of Game Pass, but I think that Game Pass is going to really take this game to the next level. So, I am excited for it. I don't know if I'm going to love it. I hope I do. I think maybe playing it co-op with friends online might kind of, push it over the edge for me and really make me start enjoying it and kind of ignore the perspective. I don't know. It's just, it's one of those things that I'm going to have to try out whenever it comes out. But it still is on my radar. It's something that I am, interested in trying out. And one thing that actually really excited me during that interview was them mentioning that this game is going to come to both Game Pass for PC and Game Pass on Xbox, because I know that, this game's kind of somewhat like Diablo. It's not, it's not like a clone or anything. But I've played Diablo on console and I've played it on PC, and I definitely preferred it more on PC than I did console. And I didn't really play it a whole lot, really, to begin with, but I really like that as well, because that's going to give me the opportunity to try it on both platforms. To, for instance, if I don't care for it on console, I'll probably jump over to PC, and maybe playing it on a keyboard and mouse will make me like it more. I don't know.
No, listen, you know what? It's one of those games that I think can excel with either, and it just becomes at that point a preference. What are you as a gamer more comfortable on? Do you feel that the point and click of the mouse is more your speed or your style, or with the controller? And I think you really hit it on the head with Game Pass. It's like, for instance, 12 minutes. Let's just talk about that for a hot second. This is the game that Zemi has been over the moon for since it was shown at that May, I believe it was May 17th, but let's say May 20th. May 23rd. I don't know. It was in May of 2020. That was one of the games shown. And for me, again, it would, if this game would have come out, more than likely I would have bought, purchased it, because I do buy a lot of games, especially in the indie community. I like supporting them. Like, even like for instance, Joe has been on my show twice, and I'm sure because he's a gentleman, he would offer me a code. I would say nay. I would not take the code from him. I'm going to buy the game because I want to support his dream. This is obviously, I'll give the code away if he offers it, because I want to support the indie community. This is a game, 12 minutes. I don't know. It's probably going to be $20 or $30. I would buy it, normally, but I don't have to if I didn't want to. And again, I will buy it because I want to support the indie community, but it's in Game Pass. And it's one of those games that maybe you think the game isn't for you. Maybe you're unsure, like, I don't know, $30, man. That might be that's too much, because if I don't really like it, I'm kind of stuck. But you don't have to do that. I think that's a great point, Zemi. Really strong point. Yeah.
For sure. Yeah. I pretty much said all I had to say.
Well, excellent. All right, excellent. You know what I want to do? And I want to start doing this a little bit more often, because I write the topics. I spend wee hours of the night writing these shows, and I love it, folks. I trust me when I tell you, having something to do, to put my thoughts, from, well, I would say pen to paper, but it's more like finger to keyboard, is something I truly enjoy doing. But every now and again, we get comments in the chat that are worthy of a conversation, even if it's 10, 15 minutes. I'm going to throw one up on the screen. KK Daze, good friend of the show, he writes a very interesting question. And KK Daze, thank you so much for not only being here, brother, but of course being a part of the chat. He says, boom, do you think that this is going to be Xbox's greatest gen? And I kind of want to elaborate on that, because I think that's a fantastic question. And I'm going to say this. It's honestly, in my opinion, I think a little too early to tell. But I have to say the starting line looks really strong. Obviously, if you compare, again, some people get mad at this. When you talk about Xbox, you kind of got to talk about PlayStation. It kind of goes, hand in hand. Peanut butter and chocolate, they kind of go together. That's just my theory on it. PlayStation out of the gate had an incredibly strong lineup. Again, not every game is for every gamer. Not every game was a AAA banger, but they started off pretty strong. And Xbox didn't have any of their first party bangers, so they didn't limp out of the starting gate. No. Let's make that understandably clear. They didn't limp out of nothing. They did fantastic out of the gate. But when you talk about games, and of course these are consoles, we do have to talk about games. They didn't have as much first party stuff as Sony did. And obviously, this is, it's new generation. It started in November 20th of 2020, but technically this is the next gen right now where we are. I have to be honest with you. I really like what I'm seeing, because it seems to me, at least in my personal opinion, that they are hitting on all cylinders. And I'm not just talking about games. Microsoft proper, the Xbox, the Phil Spencer run Xbox is hitting on every facet of gaming. And I'm talking about, being in the positive news, right? Xbox Game Pass, Project X Cloud doing well in different regions of the world that they could never get a foothold in. All of the 35 plus teams that are making games, the 23 studios, which potentially they could, mention more. They always seem to be on the right foot as of late. Now, again, sure, like most, corporations, they fumble the ball and the other team takes over. They did that with the whole Xbox Gold is going to cost $120 a year, and they immediately pivoted and course corrected the situation. But to his point, I think it could be. I think what you're starting to see, again, this is just my personal opinion. You may disagree. That's fine. I think we are starting to see the greatness that we saw during the Xbox 360 era. That's just my point. I'm getting goosebumps talking about it. But Zemi Games, let's get your opinion on this. What is your answer to KK Daze's question? Is this going to be, or potentially going to be, Xbox's greatest gen?
Like what you said, I do think it's too early to really call anything, right, or say anything. But I think that the signs are really pointing towards that being a very likely outcome, right? Because previous, to this generation, what was like their best generation? Well, a lot of us would say the 360 generation. And looking at the 360 generation and now the current generation side by side, it definitely kind of appears that Xbox now has more competitive advantages against Sony than they did back during the 360 generation. And so, like what you were saying with, all of their first party studios and, of course, they have Game Pass, and they're really changing the rules of the industry and how, these companies compete for consumers' dollars, right? and they're really leading that charge. And it seems that customers are really resonating with that. So for that reason, I think, it's very likely that this could be, like the Xbox's greatest generation so far in history, and maybe even, you could say a golden age for the Xbox brand, possibly. But with that being said, nothing, is surefire. Mistakes can be made. You can still lose a sports game or like a basketball game with 5 minutes on the clock, right? If you mess up enough, if you drop enough balls, right? And so nothing's a sure bet. So I still think it's way too soon to really call and say Xbox has this generation in the bag 100%, because we've seen several times in the past, competitors, come back, right? PlayStation's in a bad spot right now. They were in a bad spot during the 360 generation, but guess what? They ended up selling more consoles than Xbox did by the end of the generation. So they are in a tremendously powerful position right now, as a brand, but that can change. But looking at what we can see and comparing it to what other, what their competitors are doing, it's very, very likely. And it's not absurd at all to think that this would be the greatest generation that Xbox has ever had.
I agree. I think that I think the moves that they're making are reminiscent of what was done to some extent with the Xbox 360 that made it the console that everybody wanted to play on. And I think with Phil's continued community first ideology and the fact that they have become, honestly, one of the most giving corporations. I mean, folks, most corporations, if you talk to the average person, like those bastards are evil, right? We don't like those corporations, but and Microsoft was on that list for many, many, many years, and obviously they have made some big changes at the company. Specifically, when we're talking about Microsoft, we have to talk about Xbox because this is a game show. And I think that with Phil in charge, with people like Sarah Bond, when you have people like Matt Booty, when you have people like Larry Herb, you have people like Aaron Greenberg. These are all incredibly popular representatives of Xbox, and the way that they are, it's funny. Last night, my memory, I'm getting old. I'm gonna be 51 in September, so I'm not as sharp as I used to be, but I believe it might have been Crispy Bomb, and he said something to the effect that was incredible. Now, we were talking last night about how Sony really is they're not for the players. That's a BS tagline. We know that what they're about, and they could care less about the players. That's why they raised their games to $70. But we were going through some of the emails that Phil Spencer was going back and forth with Tim Sweeney, and I believe it was Crispy that said Phil Spencer sounds like the Phil Spencer you see in interviews in these emails, where not everyone else was like that. So really what you see with Phil Spencer, I can't compare myself to Phil Spencer. Obviously, he's the head of Xbox. I'm just a podcaster, but like I always say, what you see is what you get with me. Like there is no hidden agendas. This is how I was in uniform. Friendly, opening. I love everyone. I try to be as I'm never exclusive. I'm always inclusive, and that's how Microsoft has become. And I think because of all of the groundwork Phil did after being promoted in 2017, we're now enjoying the fruits of that labor. But you know what? Let me get Pong Soul in on the conversation. What are your thoughts to KK Daze's commentary? Do you think that this could potentially be the best Xbox generation ever?
Oh, absolutely. Bart, I'm not scared to say it right now. I'll call it right now. This will be the best generation Xbox has ever seen, and it's not too early to call for me. I think this is it. This is the one, barring Satya coming out tomorrow and saying that Microsoft is no longer interested in the games and closing up shop. That's the only thing that's going to stop Microsoft from having the best generation they ever have, period. Xbox has done everything that they've needed to do, that they've wanted to do. Like you were talking about, Boom, with Phil and his team's vision. And they have set this up, and I will call it now. From the simple fact is the competition doesn't matter anymore. Yes, the competition will always be there. Yes, the competition will continue to push each other in certain ways, which is great for all of us as gamers. But I think Xbox has changed the game so dramatically with Game Pass now being the platform that this sets them up that they're dancing to their own tune. They don't care what the competition is doing to a certain degree anymore. They don't have to. And I think that's why you're seeing the moves that are being made. They are self-isolating from the rest of the industry so that no matter what happens, they will have the content, they will have the talent necessary to provide their own means to the finish line. And I think that's the difference. 360 obviously was the greatest generation for Xbox in their short history here. Obviously comparing to, Nintendo and even Sony, they have been in this industry for a shorter period of time, but the 360 obviously by default, because of Sony's missteps and because they got the third-party support that they needed because they didn't have a whole lot of first-party teams then. They won. Again, that generation was theirs. Yes, I know PS3 caught up in console sales worldwide, but if we're going to be honest with ourselves, no matter what side of the fence you may fall on, Xbox ran that generation. Okay. And that's pure and simple.
I agree. 100%. Yeah.
They misstepped last generation. And we saw that, but now here they are, and they've got everything set up exactly the way that they want it. And again, they don't have to worry about anybody else. They don't have to depend on third party content. Yes, they're still going to make deals like we've been seeing.
But all of the third party and second party stuff is just, extra icing on the cake.
Extra, correct.
And I love extra icing on my cake.
Exactly. Exactly. I mean, even right now, if you just look at the roadmap for what they have from a first party standpoint over the next 5 years, even if they never made another third party deal, we'd still be eating pretty good on the Xbox side. So, yeah. I mean, that's the insane part of it. So my short answer is KK Daze. Yes, this is going to be the greatest generation for Xbox. And yes, I will call it now. It's just simple. From my standpoint, when I look at the total package of what Microsoft and Xbox have going on right now, there is no stopping them in this generation from simply, again, it's no longer the same game anymore because Xbox chose to make it a different game, and therefore they're in charge. They're on their own playing field. They're playing against themselves, and I don't think they're going to lose to themselves this time around. There is too much in place already, and Phil's vision and his team, like you were talking about, Boom, is so strong that they're not going to fumble the ball against themselves. I think they're just going to run it in and score, and that's where I'm at with this.
I like the way that you're thinking here. I think that everyone has some great points. Well, first of all, I want to thank KK Daze for the dope question, but I do want to move on to, now that was a bonus topic, folks. We still have two monster topics to get into. I'm going to get into that one right now, as a matter of fact. And Pong, this is all thanks to you, brother. This is all thanks to you dropping this, because I missed it. Yesterday was a bit of a hectic day for me. A lot of stuff going on. I missed this. And folks, topic number 3, we're going to be talking about Battlefield 6 confirmed for Xbox Game Pass day and date. Wow. Thanks to some tweets that were brought to our attention from panel member and, of course, God Howard follower number 2. I don't know if you're
definitely number 2.
Okay, I said. See,
is that really a question?
I had to make the assumption. Based on these tweets, it does look like that is happening. Now, folks, listen, Battlefield on their official Twitter account typed out this: words that rhyme with soon. And of course, they said June and Boom. Now, of course, I'm being biased because my name is Boom. I like it. Okay. But Here is where Xbox, the official Xbox Twitter account, replies to @Battlefield room in parentheses to make on our hard drive. And then Battlefield immediately responds with spoon together in that room. Pong Soul. Listen. Okay. Again,
I love it.
Speculation Town right now, folks. There's unicorns, there are rainbows. It's 70, it's sunny. I got a Mai Tai in my right hand, doesn't have any alcohol because I don't drink. So it's still tasty because it's a fruity drink. I think that there is more to this than this little tantalizing tease by Battlefield and Xbox. I honestly believe it is going to happen for a lot of reasons. Right now, EA and Microsoft are rubbing the elbows the right way. They're on board with each other's services. We have all of these EA Play games because EA Play is a part of Xbox Game Pass. And I think that when you are trying to go up against Call of Duty, the best way to do that is to have people want to play your game. And I think there's a couple of things that are going against Call of Duty this year. One, I think there's some fatigue. I'm going to be honest with you. I didn't even finish Black Ops. I'm like, I'd rather play something else, right? But I think the big issue here is they went back to the 1950s. I think that's an awful mistake. Nobody wants to play it. I mean, listen, we played World War II. We played, World War I. I think we're a little bit over it. They decided to go back into the Korean War. Now, granted, I don't think I've ever actually been there before for Call of Duty in that particular era. But I think it's a step back for regardless of how good it looks. I think it's a step back. Whereas Battlefield has return to what we loved about Battlefield 4. It apparently is going to be a very, very big game. It's going modern from what we understand. Pong, how big of a deal do you think this is for both companies, not specifically just Xbox or EA, to get this game in, to get Battlefield 6 day and date in Game Pass, dude?
Woo, sorry, I was taking a sip of my banana daiquiri next to you there. Let's see. This is a extremely huge deal. If all signs and smoke are right, and it seems to be a very, very strong relationship, obviously, with EA. Obviously, the deal to get EA Play into Game Pass, the jumping off point for this fostering of a newfound relationship between Xbox and EA. And I think this is going to, obviously culminate into Battlefield dropping into Game Pass for a lot of the reasons you just spoke about. Boom. Call of Duty has grabbed a hold of the mind share for quite a long time now, and Battlefield needs to get back to where they were. And I obviously, from a business standpoint, EA and DICE, they want it to get back to the point where it used to be a conversation between, who had the better multiplayer, right? Who was better? Was it Bad Company 2? Was it Battlefield 3? Or was it, Call of Duty Black Ops, or was it, whatever, Modern Warfare? And I think they want to get back to those days. They've stumbled hard recently. They've tried some new things. They've tried some things that worked, and then they tried some things that didn't work so well. And I think they've realized that they need to get back to the old formula, get us back to the modern times. And again, they could not have chosen, they took, Battlefield was a yearly series, and they decided to, back off of that. And they took 2 years here and reformulate. And I think that they've learned their lessons, and I think they're going to bring us exactly what we want. And now it's just a matter of fact of proving to people that they are back. And again, they could not have chosen a better time to do this than right now, with Sledgehammer Games seemingly going back to the past one more time with Call of Duty, like you just spoke about. Boom. This is the perfect time because like you said there, the fatigue is real.
Yeah, it is. I believe it is, dude. I really do.
I believe it is. Again, Call of Duty is not going to stop selling. Okay, nobody is going to say that in their right minds. People are still going to buy Call of Duty. Call of Duty, again, that's never going to happen. But what I am saying is that this is a moment in time where if they do this right, they can grab back some of that mind share, get back into the conversation. And if they do it, and they do it extremely well, like they did with Battlefield 3 and even Battlefield 4 after they fixed everything, if they get back to that formula, Okay, what you're going to see is a shift. People are going to, even the people, the diehard Call of Duty people who are still, out there buying it every year. You're going to see them kind of move on over. And what will what will help that situation would be by having a deal to put it into Game Pass. Again, people get to try things. So even if people go, I'm not sure about that Battlefield, guess what? No risk. Right? You just download it. If you've got Game Pass, you just download it. You get to try it out and you go, that's what I'm talking about. Battlefield is back. Your friends are all playing it. Holy cow, let's go. Let's squad up. Let's do this. And you download it and that's it. You're on your way. And I think that this deal makes so much sense that I'd be surprised at this point if it does not happen, that we do not see Battlefield day and date in Game Pass. I am also have an inkling with those. But the way that they're doing this release, I think that they know that if they don't want to go head to head with Call of Duty and Halo, they need to come out a little bit sooner. I would not be surprised if it's ready to rock and roll and they've got all hands on deck, right? So they've brought other teams on board to help out with this. Criterion, I believe, is on helping out Battlefield. If they can pull it off, I think a late summer release heading into early fall to get ahead of the curve, drop it into Game Pass.
Awesome.
Oh, drop it into Game Pass, get out ahead of everybody else, get your hype built up. Ooh, I think that's a real possibility, especially with this little I love Boom. I love the conversations between social media departments. They just get it. It's awesome. But I think all that kind of hints to a big reveal. Hey, we're dropping Game Pass day and date. Oh, by the way, we're going to hit, let's say August. Let's say August 15th or whatever the case may be. Get out ahead of everybody else. Grab that mind share. People will be, people are already kind of over Cold War at this point. They've made some missteps. Yeah, there's still a ton of people playing Warzone, and that's why Call of Duty will always sell. But if Battlefield shows up in August, there's going to be a lot of people, kind of got that Halo hype built up. They've got, that maybe some people are hyped for Call of Duty, but man, a big time first person shooter, Battlefield back at it, modern style. We've heard like 2030 something, with drones and that kind of stuff, but not too advanced, but really good multiplayer, dropping sometime in August. God, you would grab a lot of people right at that point who were fiending just to get into a first-person shooter, a new one. And a lot of people are excited to hear Battlefield is back. So again, all these eyes from Game Pass on it. All of a sudden, that word of mouth starts spreading. There's a lot of Battlefield people out there that have been waiting just for them to drop something good again. That word of mouth starts spreading. All of a sudden, you got all these guys on PS5 that are feeding for a first-person shooter, waiting. And next thing you know, you've got great sales going on. Plus, you got a huge player base with Game Pass already established. You're in. You've grabbed back a piece of that mind share, and then obviously the sky's the limit where Battlefield can go from there. If they decide to drop a battle royale later on to compete with Warzone, they will have fans ready to jump into that as well. I just think it's a win-win all the way around, Boom. So I definitely see this happening.
Yeah, dude. So do I. And you know something, dude? Let me tell you something. I didn't even fathom. Hey, listen, maybe they do an early release. Yep. June, July, August, because you know what? Why do you want to see? That's the thing that's really good about this. And you may be onto something. I want to elaborate for a second, because November, listen, I understand there are going to be some people in this chat, there are going to be some people in the community that aren't as, let's say, quote unquote, excited or confident that Halo is going to take over the world. Well, I'm here to tell you that I beg to differ. I think that what they're going to deliver is going to be an incredible game. I think we're going to get everything that we've wanted. I think that we're going to walk away very happy. And I think that we're also going to get one of the biggest releases of 2021. You don't obviously want to put a Battlefield 6 up against a Halo, because they're going to eat each other's lunch, and you don't want to do that. So you're onto something where they may be looking to push the envelope, get an all hands on deck kind of a situation to get everyone there, to get the game done so they can release it in the summer. And my God, would that be one hell of an announcement at E3? Yep. Oh, by the way, the release date is a week from Tuesday, and it's in Game Pass. It's going to be pretty epic, dude.
Yep, exactly. No, I again, that's why my inkling is if it's not right after E3, but just to make the announcement and shock, people who just assume it's coming closer to holiday 2021 and shock everybody and say, nope, we're ready to roll this thing out. Let's go. Gear up. Battlefield 6 is coming, whatever it is, July, August. Let's do this. I think you would grab so many people out of the gate. I think it'd be perfect.
Yeah, no, 100%. Well, listen, folks, this has been, my God, one hell of a show. One hell of a show. We have one last massive topic, and I say Matt.
What about me?
Oh my God,
Zemi, you don't like Battlefield? Stop,
dude. I want to say
I still have to make the chat boomy.
Yeah, you know what, dude? I want to apologize. You know what I'm doing right now that I almost forgot. What am I doing, Zemi? What am I doing that I shouldn't be doing live on the air instead of hosting the show?
Texting.
No, I'm about to finish up ordering on the BioWare gear store. Thanks to you. And
it's your fault, Zemi. See, he was going to skip you, and it was your own fault.
Well, at least he was going to skip me for a really good reason.
I'm literally about to hit the buy button for the Omni Blade, which looked freaking dope. So of course I have to do that. Okay, Zemi, let's get your opinion on this. Battlefield 6. Listen, it's been a while since Battlefield has been in the positive conversation with gamers. Battlefield 1, Battlefield 5, World War 1, World War 2. People are tired of it. We've been asking, first of all, to be honest with you, the right answer in this conversation is Battlefield Bad Company 3. That's the correct answer. But I suppose if I have to take a runner-up prize, I'll take a modern Battlefield and Battlefield 6, and it looks like we're going to get that. What are your thoughts on how big of a deal is this for both EA and Xbox to get it in Game Pass day and date?
All right, chat, get ready to boo. All right, chat, are you ready to boo?
Yes. Right. Hashtag cancel Zemi. I'm ready.
Just do it in advance, chat. From now on, every Tuesday, just start out with Boo Zemi when you first get here.
Boo Zemi.
Hashtag Boo Zemi.
So I will say this. I am a huge supporter of Battlefield going into Game Pass. I think it makes a lot of sense. I mean, a tremendous amount of sense. It would help, EA's, Battlefield compete with Call of Duty on another level, quite possibly on a level that it's never been able to achieve before. So I'm a huge advocate for that. However, I don't think that the tweet that we saw was necessarily super, like amazing evidence that we're going to see Battlefield in Game Pass, day and date, all that different stuff, right? And the reason
your
why
pass
I say
to
that
Speculation Town is revoked
is because if you do go and read, that social media post, you can see that there's, definitely some ways that you could take what's being said, right? There's many ways of interpreting what is actually being said. And as much of a great idea, and as much as I would want to see Battlefield go into Game Pass, I don't know. Like, I'm not completely swayed that EA, the company that, let's just remember their history, would be willing to, to put that game in there. I mean, I understand that, you can make a lot of money by putting it into Game Pass, but still, I'm not sure if EA really has been, persuaded by that, right? I think another thing to also remember is that EA has their very own service themselves, right? And that's, EA Play. But
EA Play is directly in Game Pass, and you know what? One of the things that's to take into account is that these games have microtransactions.
Yes. But the game's going to have microtransactions, regardless, right? And so now we're, asking ourselves, well, would they make more money making it free to play off of microtransactions, or would they make more money by having microtransactions and selling it at $60 a pop? And by putting it into EA Play, and of course, you're subscribed to Xbox Game Pass Ultimate, you have EA Play. But I don't think that Xbox is going to necessarily pay EA for putting it into EA Play, right? Even if it's day and date, right? So EA is a greedy company, right? We definitely have to remember that. Just look at their history if you don't believe me, right? They are a greedy company, and I'm just not 100% convinced that they would be willing to do that type of thing. I think it makes a lot of sense for them to do that. I would love for them to do that. But still, that social media post is not, completely 100%. It's coming to Game Pass. Don't pre-order your game because we're going to have it day one into Game Pass. I don't think it, necessarily says that. I think that there's other ways that you could interpret that social media post. And then given, EA's history, once again, I think that there's, equal enough reason to kind of think that they wouldn't be willing to do that. Of course, EA has, kind of changed a little bit. They seem to be, not as crappy of a company by, looking at, how, their policy with smart delivery versus other companies' policy, like Activision and so on. But even still, I just don't feel 100% comfortable in saying it's definitely going to happen. I think that there's, reason to also think that it could possibly not happen.
Listen, you're absolutely correct, right? Like we're going on the assumption that they are, because we had heard rumors that that this was one of the big AAA bombs that Microsoft spent a pretty penny on, and we always forget, that in order to make this happen, Microsoft has to drop a bag of money, potentially 2 or 3 bags of monies. Into the parking lot of EA to say, yeah, we want your game in here. So they're not getting the game for free. And I think that when you look at the overall, what happens in Battlefield, what happens in Call of Duty, people spend money on microtransactions. And I think the one thing that you're going to see, and what we're going to start hearing is that there's going to be a lot of number crunching to see whether or not it makes fiscal sense to drop these games into Xbox Game Pass. So, of course, they can make money on the microtransactions, which I think is really going to happen. But again, it's speculation town. We again, this is not just my opinion. They were having a conversation with one another, and I think that there really is something here, but again, we're not going to know. But when they say June, maybe that's the big announcement that they're talking about. Again, we don't know. It's going to be very fun to see who's right or wrong here. And I think that if it turns out that Battlefield 6 does get into Xbox Game Pass, it is going to be a big win-win for everyone, especially the community that supports Xbox Game Pass, because that's a big AAA release, and to get that in there is a really, really big deal. But I want to move on to the last topic of the show, folks. And this one comes to us. Let me just make sure the timestamp is correct. There we go. 121, because obviously you can only imagine some of the messages I get when the timestamps are not correct. Okay, let's talk about a game that's releasing later this week. In a story that I pulled from our good friends over at the Video Game Chronicles, which is another website I absolutely adore getting news from because their writers are really fantastic. We now have some performance details for all of the platforms regarding Mass Effect Legendary Edition, which releases on May 14th. And according to the news, the Xbox Series X holds the advantage among its console releases. Now, publisher Electronic Arts has confirmed the performance difference as part of a wider breakdown of the expected frame rate targets and output resolution for all versions of the upcoming title. Now, the 3-game remaster collection, which is set to release again for the PS4, Xbox One, and PC on May 14th, along with the forward compatibility of the Xbox Series X, S, and PlayStation 5, the Mass Effect Legendary Edition supports up to, on console, at 120 frames per second exclusively on the Xbox Series X. Now, this is where it gets crazy. If you have a monster PC, and a lot of people in this chat do, you can run the game at 240 frames per second on PC, and all of the other platforms, including the PlayStation 5, can and will only run it at a standard 60 frames per second. Now, console players can toggle between favor quality and favor frame rate gameplay modes at any time on all platforms, allowing players to make the choice between high definition graphics and or a performance mode that maxes out if you have the TV and an Xbox Series X at 120 frames per second. Now, Zemi, I want to go to you first. You're one of the biggest Mass Effect fans. I know you cannot wait for this game. I know that all other games are going to die on the vine once this releases. My two questions to you, and of course to Pong, as well as the incredible near 400 people that we have here that tuned in for today's Xbox Factor podcast, are this. Is the proof in the pudding when it comes to power on the Xbox Series X? And is it another example of why Microsoft, it was a good thing that Microsoft waited for the proper AMD technology to be done? And more importantly, how excited are you to play the Mass Effect trilogy again? Uh-oh. Did we freeze?
Nope,
no, I'm an idiot. I was muted.
We did not freeze. No, we revoked his pass to Speculation Town, so therefore he has to leave.
Oh, so he was waiting in line.
Yeah, I was waiting in line.
You didn't have the armband. Well, that's what happens when you make these wild accusations, Zemi Games.
No, I'm telling you. Chat, please just boo me again. Please, right now, just please boo me. No, I am super excited for Mass Effect. This is a game that I've been really looking forward to for a very long time. Even before it was actually announced, back whenever it was just a rumor that this was happening, I was looking forward to something that I didn't even know was going to happen at the time. But I am a huge Mass Effect fan. I played all of the original games right whenever they came out, and I probably played them a lot more than what I needed to, because I at the time I was still doing school and I missed out on a lot of homework. But I absolutely adore Mass Effect, and to be able to replay all three of the games, the first one with improved gameplay, all of them with improved graphics and frame rates and so on and so forth, is absolutely incredible. Not to mention that I get to unlock the achievements again, right? Which really has me excited.
Who doesn't like unlocking achievements?
That's one of my favorite things about like these remakes and these remasters. Like I loved that I was able to unlock every single achievement in Mafia 2 again. Like whenever that trilogy came out. So I'm beyond excited. I cannot wait. I'm so excited. I've been on BioWare store just buying a ton of collectibles because I can't wait to play this game. As far as power goes, for me personally, power is not the most important thing, right? If I primarily played on a PlayStation, the idea that I couldn't get 120 frames per second, it wouldn't kill me, right? It wouldn't bother me. Will it bother some PlayStation users? Absolutely it will, right? But for me personally, it wouldn't. Even given that I have a Series X, I'm actually going to be playing the game on like the favor quality mode. So I'm going to be playing at 4K 60 frames per second.
You know what? I hate to say this. I'm kind of a graphics whore. So I think I agree with you there. I think I'm going to be playing it there.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And is the Xbox Series X more powerful than the PS5? Yes, it is. Is it so much more powerful that, why would you buy a PS5? No, I wouldn't necessarily say that. But I think it's awesome that, that really a lot of it's choice, right? And on Xbox, players have the choice of how they want to experience the game, right? You and me, we want the graphics, right? We want 4K. So we're going to go with that option. But there's other people that really want that 120 frames per second. And on Xbox, they actually do have that choice, whereas on other systems, they don't, right? So that is one of I think the biggest advantages that Xbox has here. Isn't necessarily that they just have 120 frames per second, but it's more or less the choice that feature gives to its players. But yeah, overall, I'm ecstatic. I can't wait for May 14th whenever the game comes out. I actually have intentionally not started playing any other game because I only play like one game at a time. I don't bounce back and forth to multiple single player games. I start one, I finish it, and then I move on to the next. And I just don't think I have enough time right now.
I have to beat Resident Evil in the next 48 hours, otherwise I'm screwed.
Exactly. And I don't want to be in that situation. So I have intentionally not started anything because we're so close to Mass Effect coming out, and because I know day one I'm going to be there. I'm probably going to be pulling 12-hour shifts. I don't know how much sleep I'm going to get, but I'm going to be playing a lot of Mass Effect, and I'm going to be saving the universe from the Reapers.
Well, I'm right there with you, brother. And I'm going to look for one of the achievements that I got. I talk about this all the time because there are certain achievements that happen, not in your life, because we're talking about video games. We're talking about just video game achievements that you look back or you hearken back on, and you're like, I remember that day like it was yesterday. And I do remember that when I got that 75-point achievement for the final mission in Mass Effect 2, no one in my crew died. Dude, I jumped up so freaking high. I have 8-foot ceilings. I might almost hit my head.
Did you do it the first time, or did you do it on a replay?
I did it on my third playthrough. Yeah, dude. Third playthrough. The second one, I was like, yeah, I got it. And one person died. That was like almost one of those controller breaking moments. I'm like, you mother effer. And so then I restarted it. And again, I played through Mass Effect 2 multiple times. It's not like, oh, I had to play Mass Effect 2, but when I got that achievement, I felt like it's like, for me, out of all of my achievements, and I'm closing in on 300,000 gamer score, that it's like my crowning jewel achievement for me, because I love the series. I love that particular version. Mass Effect 2 is my favorite of the series, and that achievement is just, man, it's awesome.
No, for sure. It was definitely a tough one to get. Like I think I actually got mine on the second playthrough. But if I didn't, I would have had to pick it up on my third or fourth for sure. But yeah, no, that I definitely remember that achievement as well. I think a lot of Mass Effect fans that played through the original trilogy definitely remember that one.
Yeah, 100%. Pong, let's get your opinion on this before we get everyone out of here. For you personally, hearing that you can play Mass Effect, the trilogy at 120 frames per second exclusively on the Xbox Series X, and I see people in the chat going back and forth about that the PS5 is as powerful. It's actually not. There are a lot. I mean, listen, there's a reason why Sony is going to go back into redesign the PlayStation 5, folks. That story is real. It's not as powerful. It's missing a significant amount. Kirby Louise is in the chat trying to confirm my not my suspicions, the actual facts. The reality is that the PlayStation 5 is a fantastic piece of hardware. The controller is incredible. I absolutely love it. But to say that they're close in power is that now you're pushing the envelope in the wrong direction. I don't think that's in fact true at all. And I think there's a reason why Sony has to. If you think that BS reason about, oh, they want to redesign it so they can manufacture more of them. If you believe that, then I got a bridge to sell you, because that's not in fact the truth. They rushed it out, and what you're seeing, what we're playing, is a prototype, which is why it has so many problems, and why there's so many advancements to the Xbox Series X as opposed to the PlayStation 5. I don't even know why we're even having this conversation. I don't want to make it a console war thing, but the reality is the reality. But please, by all means, Pong, continue with the conversation regarding Mass Effect playing at 120 frames per second on the Series X only, or are you going to play it like me and Zemi, be graphic whores?
Okay, so Mass Effect, one of my top 5 series of all time. One of my favorites out there. It changed sci-fi genre for games forever. Absolutely one of the greatest stories ever told in a video game by far, and some of the best character development, peak BioWare, especially out of the first 2, for sure. The third one, again, it had its issues, but again, overall, the trilogy is just simply brilliant, and I absolutely love it. I've got it pre-downloaded. I'm a budget gamer, so I have to pick and choose what I do buy, but Mass Effect is definitely already waiting for the 14th this week. I cannot wait.
Yeah.
I cannot wait. As far as the frame rate and graphics goes, options are always good. This goes back to Microsoft's forward thinking.
Yes.
And
indeed.
This is why I love, because this goes actually more to backwards compatibility than it does power. This has to do with, they would have to remake the game from, they would have to make a specific PS5 version in order to get it to do the 120. Whereas because Microsoft started prepping for 120 frames back during the Xbox One X generation, they saw this coming. And so when a developer has to go back and prep an older gen, they can basically have it unlocked and run it at 120 because that was already built in to the old gen versions, which is absolutely beautiful. That's my understanding of it, and I love it because more options, the better.
Yeah, we win as gamers.
Absolutely. Absolutely, of course. And I am lucky enough to have a TV that supports 120, so I definitely will be playing it at 120. Now, will I settle in at 4K 60? I don't know yet. There are some games
see what that bad boy looks like, man.
Yeah, I got to see what it looks like, and I'll be checking out both, obviously. But 1440 at 120 is pretty crispy for me. I think it just depends on how it feels, right? Because again, 120 is more about feel. It's not so much about visual. Right. So I just want to see how the combat feels at 120, because everything else that I've played, Titanfall 2 at 120 is simply
so good.
Incredible.
It's madness.
So it is. So I am looking forward to it. But again, I just got to give kudos and props to Xbox, Phil and his team thinking ahead to even the next generations coming up and saying, you know what, even though the One X can't do this, we need to prep so that these developers with their titles are, able to enable this for the next gen if they're going to go back to these games. Again, this all goes back to the backwards compatibility and their thought process. It's a beautiful thing, but again, give me more and more options. But I am just thrilled to have the opportunity to go back and play through 1 through 3, even though, again, I consider 5 trilogy. I have not replayed them that many times. So for me, this is going to be like going back to an old friend I haven't seen in a long time. And that old friend happens to just look a whole lot better than they did before. And that for me is going to be huge. I still think, shout out to the Iron Lords podcast for doing their debate over ME1 and ME2. Anybody who is an ME fan and has already played the games, go check it out. It's spoiler filled. They talk about everything, but man, that was a great debate that they hosted over there. But the simple fact is I can't wait to see ME1. I personally still believe ME1 is the greatest, but I can't, again, all that aside, the controls were not the best and the Mako was absolutely awful. So
it was terrible to drive. It was.
Yes, and they're improving all of that for like this new trilogy, which is correct.
That's why I can't go back and wait to experience ME1 in the best light possible. For me, that is going to be, it's going to be like a new game. And I have this, I want to see if it lives up to my imagination of how it's going to feel and how it's going to look on screen. I've seen the videos. I've seen the side-by-sides. I just want to see it live in my living room. I cannot wait for the 14th. It cannot come soon enough this week. I'm over the moon excited about this, and I'm glad they did it finally because we've been asking for it for a long time. So this is fantastic.
You know what? But besides that, what I'm hoping, and again, this could be another whole topic, but we're not going to get into it because obviously we were past the 90-minute mark already. What I'm hoping this trilogy does, and I think this trilogy is not only going to sell like hotcakes. I hope this opens the door for EA to look in their catalog and give us a Dead Space trilogy done in the same format. I know it's wishful thinking, but if this does as well as I think it's going to do, I think we could see that happen.
Boom, to your point, they again, this latest FPS boost drop did not include the Dead Spaces, and that could be a possibility, an indicator that if Mass Effect Legendary Edition goes well, that they would be willing to go back and do Dead Space, kind of the same thing.
Oh my God, I
because
would love it.
they know people have been clamoring for it, and I was kind of shocked when the boost dropped. All 70 whatever it was games,
74 games,
74 games, and Dead Space was not included in there. I definitely think that could mean that they went and asked EA, and EA said no, and we've got some plans for that, because they did other EA games. So why would they not do Dead Space? So I'm hoping that's a sign of things to come, that EA is going to go ahead and take a look at the Mass Effect Legendary Edition, see how the sales are, and then move forward with a Dead Space remake or remaster, whatever you want to call it. Remaster, I suppose, is a better term, and bring those back to life again. Because again, as much clamoring as there had been for Mass Effect, there's been about the same amount for Dead Space. So I definitely think that EA, from a business standpoint, realizes that they are
they love money. They're money whores.
Yeah, exactly. But you know what? I'll just finish with this. Beyond myself, I am just so excited for everybody who never got to experience Mass Effect being able to go and do this. All the new people, because there are a lot more than I ever. My brother from another, I Steel, has never experienced Mass Effect, and so
I'm jealous. I'm
absolutely, absolutely.
Jealous.
There are so many people that have not experienced Mass Effect, and to be able to go back and see it in this light for the first time. What an experience. And like you said, boom, just jealous. But I can't wait to see all the new fans come out of the woodwork for Mass Effect Trilogy and realize how just incredible of a trilogy and what it meant to video game history that this series is.
I would dare say, and I could get booed. It could be hashtag cancel Mr. Boomstick. I would dare say that Mass Effect's story, its trilogy, is so important that I would dare say, and I'm a huge fan of this, as equal to Star Wars, the episodes 4, 5, and 6.
Yeah, what it meant to video games.
I think that the storytelling in that was BioWare at their absolute finest. Unfortunately, that's not the same BioWare. I hope that they could somehow rekindle that with the new Mass Effect that they're working on, but only time is going to tell. But this has been one hell of a show, and obviously we had almost 400 people here. I want to thank everybody who tuned in. Obviously, if you're new to the channel, hit that like button, and more importantly, hit the subscribe button. See if maybe you want to get this content weekly. We do 4 live shows weekly, and they're all. They're non-toxic, folks. We come here to have fun. And I think we had a lot of fun. So let's get to the outros, get everyone out of here. Zemi Games, yes. I want to thank you so much for being here, brother. Tell everyone about the constantgamer.com. And more importantly, where could people reach out to you and strike up a conversation on social media?
Yeah, absolutely. So my website's called constantgamer.com. It's a gaming media website similar to IGN, similar to Kotaku, GameSpot. The biggest difference is that we are just more objective in how we report gaming news. We don't mix our personal feelings and thoughts into, what should be actual factual news. And in addition to doing gaming news, we also do game reviews, featured articles, fun gaming related quizzes, and all sorts of other different, all sorts of other content. So if you're interested in checking that out, definitely go to constantgamer.com. We're also currently still looking for new writers. So if any of you guys would be interested in writing for a website like this, all you have to do is just go to the website, click on the contact us button, and click on the button that says join the team, fill out a short application, and I'll be in touch with you. Boom. Once again, this show was absolutely fire. These topics were amazing. And I can't wait for next week's show, man. Thanks.
Well, listen, dude, we love doing this, right? And I love having you guys here each and every week. We're Xbox fans, and we are just about to get into the neck deep of it, because E3 is only a couple of weeks away. And I say a couple, I don't mean 2, but obviously we're in the second week of May, which means that E3 is about a month away. And my God, no one's going to have you covered more than the constantgamer.com. And of course, the podcasts here at Primetime Gaming, at Double Barrel Gaming. And of course, there's the shows that Pong Soul just happens to be a part of. Pong, first of all, what you're doing with Steel Rain on Saturday mornings at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time with Living Split Screen is phenomenal. Your work on the Xbox Ultimate Podcast, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Fridays with Mav and that incredible, I would say, Power Rangers level crew is incredible. Tell everyone where they can check you out on these shows, what you got going on, and where can people find you on social media.
Oh, absolutely, Boom. Again, phenomenal show, Boom. Just fantastic to be here every Tuesday with you and Zemi. Love it, man. We have such a good time, and I'm so thankful all the time that you invited me to be a part of it. Chat, you guys were on fire as always, nearly 400 people, but you guys were lighting up the chat with conversations. Love to see it. And so thank you all for coming out and supporting us. So you can find me, Pong Soul, everywhere, Xbox, Twitter, and in Friday nights, as Boom was just talking about, Xbox Ultimate with the Fun Speculation, aka Mav, his wife Caitlin, and the rest of the Magnificent Seven. That starts at 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 o'clock Central Time. Come check us out. We do have a great time. And then on Saturday morning, Steel Rain, myself are giving you guys episode number 8. We just finished episode 7 of Living Split Screen. Split Screen is all one word. Come check us out on your Saturday mornings. Just put us on the background like Boom does while he's doing things.
Usually when I'm making breakfast.
Exactly. But the support from the community has been absolutely fantastic. All we try to do is it's just him and I. We try to have just conversations. They're free flowing. It's organic. We'll talk about things across the entire industry. Last week we talked about reviewers and all that kind of stuff. But it's just him and I going back and forth. So you never know where the conversation's going to go. We try to have a good time. We try to involve the chat. We've been dropping codes. So just come check us out. That starts at 10 a.m. Eastern Time, 9 o'clock Central Time, 3 p.m. UK time. Just a great time. Him and I are just loving it. It's turned out almost exactly what we thought it was going to, and we got some big plans for it. So come see us. And then Saturday nights is the Shop Podcast with PTK Blam, Fuzzy Belvedere, Stegorilla, and Centurion. Again, quick show. We try to keep it just a little bit over an hour long. We've been having some incredible guests. We had Lord Attic from Iron Lords on last Saturday. The prior week, we had Josh Muncie, Xbox marketing manager. So again, PTK has been knocking it out of the park with his guest lineup. Just a great show. Come check us out, 9 p.m. Eastern Time, 8 o'clock Central Time. Again, love you all. Thank you all. And I can't wait to do this again next Tuesday. And Noobs and Pros tonight. Noobs and Pros. I'm going to be guest hosting. It's a fun show. Come check that out. It starts at 9 o'clock Eastern Time, 8 o'clock Central Time. Noobs and Pros. Mav's going to be on there tonight.
Nice.
A lot of the Xbox Ultimate crew has been crossing over. Lady AF's on there almost every week. 3-Bit's been on there I don't know how many times, but great group, a couple guys there, and we're just going to have a good time. So Noobs and Pros tonight.
Yeah, well, looking forward to that, brother. And you obviously you may need to take a break to actually play some games because my God, you're super busy. But listen, folks, thank you so much for tuning in and supporting Double Barrel Gaming. If you would be so kind, and I'm not mind controlling anyone, tweet this out. Let people know about the Xbox Factor podcast. If you're not subscribed, please consider hitting the subscribe button. Mrs. Boomstick and I are still giving away an Xbox Series X and a runner-up prize of an Xbox Series S, both with a year of Xbox Game Pass for free once we surpass 10,000 subs, folks, and we're closing in on 8,300. So if you are new, you want a chance at winning the prize, subscribe to the channel, but don't subscribe just for prizes. Honestly, the content here, and I'm not tooting my own horn, it's well documented that I do my research, and of course, it's fun. And it's non-console war based. Nothing is done for clicks. Nothing is done for likes, other than the fact that we do a lot of these shows. If you are here already, please hit that like button. Of course, we got to thank Lethal Papa, the sheriff in the chat, walking silently and carrying a very big band stick, because it's because of his tireless work that you guys and gals can come here and hang out and don't worry about the trolls of the interweb. So of course he works tirelessly, and thank you so much, Lethal. But anyway, folks, I'm going to close out the show with something that's important to me. Hopefully one day it'll be important to you, and that's something that my dad taught us when we were kids. And I think now, more than ever, it's super important. He said, son, treat others how you want to be treated. And also, it doesn't cost anything to be nice. If you live by those rules, You're going to have one heck of a day. Thank you so much for being here. Everyone, take care, and we'll see you on Thursday's new episode of the Xbox Factor Podcast.